An ancient Greek story tells of astrologers who warned an emperor that a child born that year would one day ruin his life. Stories like this are told all over the world. In other cultures, a similar tale was associated with Jesus, but the Greek version stands out. In that year, the emperor imprisoned all newborns but did not kill them, as he believed one of them would eventually bring about his downfall. Instead of murder, he chose lifelong imprisonment, thinking this was a great symbolic act. These children, strong even in their youth, were shackled from the moment they were born. They grew up never knowing a life without chains, accepting their bondage as a natural part of existence. They couldn't even remember a time when their hands were free. For them, slavery became life itself. There was no way for them to understand the concept of freedom, as they had nothing to compare it to. Born into slavery and raised in chains, they never thought to question their fate. Lost is their entire essence. There was a comparison between freedom and madness. They were bound by terribly strong chains. Johann's eyes had become so dark that he couldn't even look back at the world of light. As soon as they saw the light, their eyes would close. The light caused so much pain that they could feel the darkness instead. Did you get eyes? Those who have lived in darkness all their lives cannot look back, they can only look towards the wall. The shadows of people walking on the road, passing by the window or door, would form on the wall in front of them. They thought they could see only these shadows, believing that the shadows were the world. Hindus refer to this world of shadows as Maya. The real cannot be seen, only the reflection of the real can be perceived. To see the real, one needs capable eyes, eyes that can open in the light and face the sun. In the storm of darkness, the eyes cannot see the truth. The truth is not covered. The truth is revealed, it has been spewed out by the noise. Your eyes are weak and cannot see the truth. Slowly, they stopped looking back. Looking back only meant tears in their eyes. That was the world of yellow. You have also stopped seeing the truth, and whenever someone shows you the truth, you feel pain instead of happiness. The public only feels pain. Whenever someone tells the truth, it hurts. But one man mustered the courage to question quietly. He began to suspect that these shadows are always present because when you talk to them, they don't answer. If you touch them, you feel nothing. If you try to catch them, you cannot grasp them. One man started to suspect, some Manish Ji, some saint. He slowly began the practice of looking back. It took years. He persisted, even when it hurt. Whenever he looked back, his eyes would become irritated, and tears would fall, but he continued to practice. It was a great penance, and slowly, his eyes began to feel cheerful. He was surprised at the prison he had fallen into, believing the shadows to be the truth. He became capable of looking back. His neck was tied with a price, but his eyes started to see. He noticed the colors outside, the trees, the flowers blooming, and the people passing by. The world was colorful, full of shadows, yet completely colorless. It was sad, there was a festival outside, but no celebration could be caught in the shade. Children passed by, singing and playing, while the shadows remained completely silent. There was no speech, no outspokenness outside. The real world was hidden behind. That man began discussing this slowly, from a distance, with others, and they laughed. You have gone mad. We have always heard that this is the truth in front of us. When we look back, we cannot see anything except darkness. When the eyes are closed, nothing is visible except darkness. It is not necessarily true that there is darkness, it may be that the eyes are simply closed. Yet, no one ever takes it upon themselves to consider this. So, no one believes that their eyes can close, which is why there is darkness. People believe that there is darkness, that is why there is darkness. Is it possible that my eyes can close further? We always consider our eyes to be open. We always believe our hearts are full of love. We always think our wisdom is illuminated. We always assume our souls are awakened, and this is our foundation. At that time, the number of prisoners was very high, and he was alone. Democracy favored the prisoners, they had the majority, and they said that if this was the case, then everyone's advice should be taken. That man did not receive even a single vote. People laughed and mocked him. Slowly, they began to consider him mad. They would say that the whole world was a new madman. If Kabir's verse were recited to that man, he would have agreed that everyone is one within him and that only he recognizes this truth. But where there is a crowd of blind people, the one with eyes becomes mad. Where there is a crowd of fools, the one with wisdom appears intelligent. Where illness is considered health, people will treat a healthy man poorly. This is natural, because people see themselves as the norm, and when the majority supports them, they form a unanimous opinion, leaving only that one man out. So, how can a true message be created? People laughed at him, mocked him, considered him mad, and despised him. They ignored him. Slowly, people stopped talking to him because he created discomfort. Additionally, they were unsure. Sometimes doubts would arise in their minds that maybe he was right. If this man truly exposed the futility of their entire lives, they would have to accept that they were wrong. No one wants to believe that their whole life has been a waste, because that would mean they lost the opportunity to truly live. Their egos, moody, ignorant, and unconscious, are not ready to accept this. Who is more knowledgeable than me? Who is more intelligent than me? Such thoughts protect their ignorance. As long as this ego remains, the fortress of ignorance will not be defeated, it will not be broken. Gradually, they ignored him, for even talking to him was uncomfortable because he always spoke of truths. None of them had seen colors. He would always talk about the music that followed, but none of them had heard it. All their senses had become paralyzed, and gradually, that man began to say that these are chains they consider as ornaments. After all, even a prisoner needs a mindset that allows him to see the chains as ornaments. If a prisoner must live, he considers the prison his home. He not only understands this but also decorates it from within so that he can have complete faith that it is his home. The prisoners adorned their chains with flowers and leaves, they would clean the rattles by rubbing them. The shinier the chain, the more wealth he was perceived to have. The stronger the chain, the richer he was considered to be. The more sound the chain made, the more wealth he possessed. Naturally, if the chain began to weaken, he would repair it. To him, the chain was his life, and he never regarded it as a chain. It was an ornament, his only decoration. So, he felt no need for further adornment. Slowly, this man began to understand that these were not ornaments but chains, as he started glimpsing the world of freedom. A ray of light descended into the darkness, bringing the message of the sun. Now, it became difficult for this darkness to remain in his house. Gradually, he made arrangements to break the chains. The real question is how to break the inner chain, for the outer chain is very weak. If you are bound, it is by the inner chain. Once he recognized that there were no ornaments, he knew that freedom was within reach. From that day onward, he stopped rubbing the chains within him. He stopped cleaning and decorating them. People began to think that he had become sad with life. What kind of sadness? Generally, worldly people perceive sensitive individuals as sad. They saw him as poor, in their eyes, he had lost in life, which appeared to them as helplessness. They claimed that the grapes were sour because he could not complete the struggle, they deemed him weak. They already knew he was weak, and sooner or later, he would tire and separate from the struggle, labeling him a coward. He ceased decorating the cumin seeds that served as his ornaments. He stopped cleaning the surrounding walls. Now, the madman had become completely mad, but that man gradually found ways to break the chains. If the inner chain is broken, then the outer prison will already be shattered. If half of it has already fallen, then it is taken, and the message of the hidden world comes from behind. Then, joy began to call him. A thirst in every pore urged him to enter the real world of samadhi. He broke the chain when the thirst became intense. Then even the weakest man becomes powerful. If the thirst is sustained, even the weakest chains seem very strong. The class kept growing. The world behind began to become clearer. The clearer the eyes became, the more the place of truth started to reveal itself. One day, he broke free and escaped from prison. There was no end to his joy, he was dancing in the sunlight. Birds blossomed into flowers. Real people cast shadows, and there was music, color, and the pilgrimage of fragrance. But in prison, it flew away. We knew that sooner or later, he would run away from the struggle of life. The escapist is a saint. This is a trick to save oneself. He also progressed by allowing himself to become a saint. We are not cowards. And you are a coward, that is why you are where you are. This is a trick to convince oneself. We are not planners. We will fight in the struggle of life, while you do not even understand life, and what you are struggling with is merely a world of shadows. The real struggler's battle with life was discussed for a few days, then people forgot. But a new restlessness began in that man's life. The more he came to know freedom and happiness outside, the more he experienced the truth. A new, great compassion, an inaccessible compassion, started to arise within him. He felt he should return to the prison and inform everyone. For a few days, he explained to himself that they would not listen. They are in the majority. They will laugh again, they will not believe. They will not. Because people living in darkness have their faith burned. Is faith a sign of an enlightened mind? People living in darkness are destroyed by doubt. Doubt is part of darkness, faith is part of light. That is why all scientists have regarded faith as a bridge. If you want to move from darkness to light, you must pass through the realm of faith. Trust is needed. Trust means only this much, that I have not known. It is possible. If you think that what you know is all there is, then there is no question of a journey, the matter is settled. If Saint were to come and say, I have known a little more than you, would you still not believe? Doubt means this much, that truth has ended for me. What I have known is the limit of truth, my experience and truth are equal. Understand this. My experience is small, truth can be vast. My courtyard is small, but the courtyard is not the whole sky. The sky is vast, while my little laughter exists here. But the structure of the window is not the structure of the sky. Even if I look through the window is not the sky. If such a thought arises, which brings forth doubt upon doubt, he becomes a devotee. He should remember the greatest doubt, the one that breeds further doubts, the one that makes him doubtful about his tendency to doubt. Faith becomes the dominant force in his life. Faith means knowing a lot. I have picked up a few stones on the seashore, but this does not encompass the entire seashore. I have collected a handful of sand, but there is infinite sand on the seashore. The limit of my fist is not the limit of the sea, nor is the limit of my intellect the limit of truth. No matter how much I attain, there will always be something left to achieve. This is the meaning of calling God infinite. No matter how much you attain, there will still be water left. You may blow on the water, it will not fall. Your vessel will be filled, and it will start flowing from above, but rain will continue to fall from his clouds. We are God only when a person thinks, I am all. Faith ends when faced with the unknown. The courage to take a step is what it means to enter the unknown. Entering the unknown is to go where I have never been. What I have never encountered can also happen. Compassion began to arise in that man's mind many times. Compassion is an essential characteristic of bliss. When someone asked Saint, "What is the complete definition of samadhi?" "I do not know his definition, but two things are." "What is the complete definition of samadhi?" "I do not know his definition, but two things are certain, Mahagyan, great knowledge, and Mahakaruna, great compassion." The person who asked said, "Is it Mahagyan enough?" Saint replied, "Won't it? That would be incomplete. That is one side of the coin. The other side is Mahakaruna. Whenever knowledge is born, compassion is born as well." Why? Because the life energy that was being created until now has to go somewhere. Energy does not get destroyed, it was running after money and position. There were many ambitions and desires for various pleasures. All that energy was present in those relationships. With the dawn of knowledge, all the darkness, lust, desire, and ambition vanished just like that. What will happen to the darkness of the burning lamp? The energy formed from lust, the energy converted into anger, and the energy converted into jealousy. What will happen to that energy, that pure power? All that power transforms into compassion. Mahaparumya is born, and that compassion is more indomitable than your desires because your desires are accompanied by many ambitions. You also want to accumulate wealth. You even postpone your desires, saying, "Wait, you will earn money for 10 years, then you will get married properly." The desires of a rich man are not alone, there are also desires for position. You may even sacrifice wealth to gain a position. You put relationships into elections. Somehow, you become a minister. But even the desire to be a minister is not a complete desire. Then you start chasing after the wives of other ministers. Your position is also at stake. All your desires are incomplete, and your energy is divided among all of them. But when all desires become zero, all the energy is freed, and you become a source of energy in a man, a kind of power. What happens to that power? Whenever bliss is born, samadhi is born, and the sky of truth is attained. Then you reach out to those who are left behind. Your whole life is dedicated to bringing them into this open sky. It is spent in freeing those who are bound, in giving an open sky to those in prison, whose wings have rusted. It is spent in repairing their wings so that they can soar again, and in giving life back to their legs so that the lame can walk, the blind can see, and the deaf can hear. And you, like a langur, have not walked, you have traveled a lot, but no journey is a true journey unless it is a pilgrimage. You are deaf, you have heard this a lot, but you have not heard any voice except the noise of life. And is that noise also music? In reality, it is a cacophony devoid of harmony. It is a strange noise that makes you tense. You become worried, restless, troubled, this is music. Who fills you with that infinite bliss where all worries are lost, where the flute of peace plays? Such a flute never ends. So, you are bound, you have seen a lot, but whatever you have seen is just the outline. You cannot see the truth inside, the body is visible, but the soul is not, matter is visible, but God is not. The body is visible, but the unseen remains hidden, and the invisible is the foundation of the visible. God is the basis of matter, and without the soul, the body cannot live. Here, the fans flew, and there, people took the body for cremation. Still, you have seen only the body, and you have not seen the truth. Are you blind? Are you lame? The one in whose life samadhi blossoms runs to wake up those who are asleep. But even he must face much trouble. For some days, he restrains himself because he knows that those people will laugh. He knows they will not listen and that he will not be welcomed. He knows that what has always happened will happen again. He will be welcomed with stones and thorns, not garlands of flowers. But he is indomitable. He cannot be stopped. That man also feels pain, he starts to feel restless. He begins to remember those he left behind in prison. He worries that their lives will end like this. Their existence was born in darkness. He discovered in darkness that their eyes would never see the light, they would keep looking at shadows on the wall. They will keep considering chains as ornaments. They will never gain the wings of freedom. It started to weigh heavily on him. His heart began to rain like it does when the good ones are filled with sorrow. His soul started to prepare for a downpour, like when a flower, heavy with sadness, opens up and casts away its burdens. In all the four worlds and the inner realms, his soul began to get ready to play. Someone started pulling him from the train of thoughts. Knowing that he was not welcomed back there, he returned to the prison. People started laughing. They said, "I told you. There is nothing there, only shadows where you are going. You have come back. Adi mind. Mind has come on the path. And you were explaining to us the opposite." He is going to be insulted and disrespected because he knows that what has always happened will happen again. He will be welcomed with stones and thorns, not garlands of flowers. But he is indomitable, he cannot be stopped. That man also felt pain, he started to feel restless. He began to remember those whom he had left behind in prison. Those people will end like this. Their lives were born in darkness. He discovered in darkness that their eyes would never be able to see the light, they would keep looking at shadows on the wall. They will keep considering chains as ornaments. They will never gain the wings of freedom. It started to weigh heavily on him. His heart began to rain, like it rains when the good ones are filled. It grew heavier. His soul started to prepare for a downpour, like when a flower, heavy with sorrow, opens up and casts away its burdens. In all the four worlds and the inner realms, his soul began to get ready to play. Someone started pulling him from the train of thoughts. Knowing that he was not welcomed back there, he returned to the prison. People started laughing. They said, "I told you. There is nothing there, only shadows where you are going. You have come back. Adi mind. Mind has come on the path. And you were explaining to us the opposite. We also went with you, we also considered making up our minds. Now that you understand, come back, take back your things, your ornaments. This is the only world, and the shadow of the wall can only be managed this way. All these dreams of light and colors are mere imaginations. You are not alone, many of us have also seen such dreams and imagined all these poems and people. All these are the imaginings of the people of vegetables, of the siddhas, the liberated souls, all nonsense. These tricksters have devised ways to exploit the mouths of the people. That man must have remained silent, the door must have been closed. He has come to free them, but they considered their lives as their prison. Still, he tried. Whatever has always happened, happened the same way. People started opposing him. The more he tried, the angrier they became. Their anger seemed natural. He was engaged in ruining their life's stake. He was saying that they had wasted 60 years, claiming they were not intelligent enough to live in darkness for that long. They kept rotting, tied in chains, and failed to realize that the chains were merely moods, which they considered ornaments. They saw the shadows on the wall and believed that this was the truth. Is this beyond tolerance? Because if this man is true, then all the people in that house are wrong. The crowd is wrong if he is true. Yes. If I am right, then you are wrong. There is only one way for you to be right, that I am wrong. And you can easily do this. The crowd is yours, the numbers are yours. That man was alone and a stranger among unknown people. His language had become theirs, making communication difficult. He tried 1,000,000 times to explain, but no one was ready to understand. Then his explanation started to become difficult for them to grasp. And what has always happened, happened again. They killed that man with stones and blows from chains. You did the same with Jesus, you did the same with Mansoor. This story is both ancient and new. It has happened in the past, is happening today, and will continue to happen in the future. This is an ever-new, ever-ancient story. We said, so there is nothing there, only shadows where you are going. You came back. Adya mind. Mind came on the path. And you were explaining to us the opposite. We also went with you, we also thought of making a change. Now I understand, come back, take your things, take your ornaments. This is the only world, and the shadow of the wall can only be managed this way. All these dreams of light and colors are mere imaginations. You are not alone, many of us have also seen such dreams and imagined such things. All these poems and people, of the people of vegetables, of the siddhas, of the liberated souls, they are all nonsense. These tricksters have created ways to exploit by sucking the life from the people. That man must have remained silent, with the door closed. He has come to free them, but they considered their prison as their life. Still, he tried. What always happens, happened. People started opposing him. The more he tried, the angrier they became, and their anger seemed natural. He was trying to ruin their entire lives. He was saying they were wasting 60 years, claiming they were not intelligent enough to live in darkness for so long, and yet they still chose to dwell in darkness. They kept rotting, tied in chains, even realizing that the chains were mud, yet they considered them ornaments. They saw the shadows on the wall and thought that this was the truth. Is this beyond tolerance? Because if this man is true, then all the people in that house are wrong. The crowd is wrong if he is true. Yes, if I am true, then you are wrong. There is only one way for you to be right, that I am wrong. And you can easily do this. The crowd is yours, the numbers are yours. That man was alone, a stranger among unfamiliar people. His language had become different from theirs, making communication difficult. He tried 1,000,000 times to explain, but no one was ready to understand. Then his explanation started becoming difficult for them. And what always happens, happened again. That man was killed by those stones and blows from chains. You did the same with Jesus, you did the same with Friday, you did the same with Mansoor. This story is very ancient and very new, the oldest of the old and the newest of the new. It has been happening in the past, is happening today, and will continue to happen in the future. This is an ever-new, ever-ancient story. Yet did you think about the darkness? You kept rotting in chains and realized that the chains were mud, yet you continued to consider them ornaments. You saw the shadows on the wall and thought that this was the truth. Is this beyond tolerance? Because if this man is true, then all the people in the house are wrong. The crowd is wrong if he is true. Yes, if I am true, then you are wrong. There is only one way for you to be right, that I am wrong. And you can easily do this. The crowd is yours, the numbers are yours. That man was alone, a stranger among unknown people. His language had become different from theirs, and now it was difficult for any communication to take place between them. He tried hard to explain, but no one was ready to understand. Then his explanations also began to become difficult for the people. And what has always happened, happened again. That man was killed by those stones and blows from chains. You did the same with Jesus, you did the same with Friday, you did the same with Mansoor. This story is very ancient and very new too, the oldest of the old and the newest of the new. It has been happening in the past, is happening even today, and will continue to happen in the future. This is an ever-new and ever-ancient story.